Alright, we are live on YouTube.
AB in here? My man. How was your day yesterday, Sean?
It was pretty good. I was basically done after we got off. I just managed the trade a little bit, and then I went to like TP and I was done for the day.
You took a sell though, right?
I took a buy first.
Yeah.
And then I took the sell that I was talking about, coming right back down to like 1794.
Okay.
And then I was done.
Beautiful. Good stuff. Good stuff. What do we got? We got Miles in here.
What's going on?
Nothing much, man. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
Good. You sure you're doing all right?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's been a stressful, just a lot of shit going on, but I am okay. I'm okay.
We'll catch up tonight, right?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, good stuff. All right, so it's 8:02. We'll get into the breakdowns real quick so that you guys have a good idea of what to expect. I was just breaking it down with our group just now, so we'll do it again. Looking at GJ over here on the weekly, again, we're making these lower highs, right? Strong bearish candles, lower highs, lower lows, pushing all the way down. What's interesting is you have like this area right here where you had previous candles rejecting it multiple times and closing above, right? Then we get the close below. We get this low formed. Price comes up, respects the high of the previous wick over here, right? And then flips bearish. So are we continuing down, back down to 160 level and filling some of these wicks over here to the left? All right, so I'll start marking off levels on the daily here. As you guys know, we've been creating these lower highs and also rejecting 166 over here multiple times. Strong resistance, another one, and then another strong push for the third time in this key area of the downtrend. Price continuing all the way down over here. Then all of a sudden we get this pullback from this level. Remember we held support in this area? Bearish candle closed there. This candle rejected that area, and then we kept closing above with these candles. Then we got this strong bullish candle, and candles started getting weaker as we were coming up. And then all of a sudden yesterday we get this resistance formed, right? With a very strong daily bearish candle with a wick to fill as well. So now this current daily candle has a top wick, flip bearish, passing the low of the previous. There's nothing that's really stopping us from coming all the way back down to that 161 level. So looking at the 4 hour, I'm just going to mark off that area real quick. 161. There you go. You got all those wicks in that area as well. And now what you have here is this resistance holding strong. And we got this strong bearish candle close. This candle closed below support over here, right? And then we get some kind of a resistance formed around 162,500, right? Strong resistance. This candle ends up closing bearish with a wick to fill, but rejects that area, right? Kind of like holds support in here. This candle had no bottom wick, or no top wick on the 4 hour, and just shot down, right? Just continuing down. So, morning, Alejo. So looking at the 1 hour now, what we just had was a support formed, right? Kind of got a close below with this candle, top wick formed, past the low of that candle and continue down. But we had some kind of a support right here that we got to take a look at. This is the reason I didn't hop in this. But I'm saying we should have at least come down to 161,400. We'll see if that's what we get. If you look at the 30-minute now, you got the previous support right here. You can drag that to the left as well. Right over here. Actually, make that a little bit bigger. So right now, you could have drawn it like that. What we had before was this support right here. Right, this was our low. You had a nice move from up here during pre-New York and pretty much London over here. If you had a resistance, you see the resistance forming, you're retesting this level right here. and continuing down, right? You could have kind of mirrored this move all the way back down to the support and obviously continued holding a runner, right? But what we ended up getting here was we were looking at the 30-minute and the 15-minute and how, mainly the 30-minute. So right here was a support, right? Ended up getting a bullish candle close in this area. Then this candle created a top wick, pushed all the way back down to 700 level, right? And then rejected, closing a weak bearish candle. I've seen this plenty of times, right? Or not plenty of times, but a few times where this candle closes like that and rejects a level, but this candle ends up filling that wick anyway and continuing down. But with PPI coming out, I kind of just wanted to like stay out of it and wait for that close below this level over here. Because the 15-minute ended up closing bullish right here. If we got a bearish candle close right here, but it closed like somewhere around here with a wick to fill, then maybe I would have entered that. But the fact that we closed all the way down here with no bottom wick, I was waiting for some kind of a pullback to take this down, and we never really got it. Right? Again, this 4-hour candle really doesn't have a top wick. But I've just been waiting for some kind of a pullback to continue back up and then continue down so that we could take that move back down to 161,400, but we just haven't gotten it yet. But now that I'm looking at it and breaking it down for the second time, this is why it's so important to clear your charts and everything. This level was important as well. Yeah, this support that we bounced off really hard, this candle closed below it. You get the retest with a candle with a wick to fill, but again, you do have this area, and it perfectly retested that previous wick to the left, so perfectly rejected it, right? So that's kind of what was holding me out of it. But now that I look at it, maybe you could have put your stop loss up here and taken this down to fill the wick. So that's just something that you want to journal. If none of you took it, did anybody in here take this?
I did.
Okay, nice. All right, so yeah, if you guys didn't take this, just go back and journal it and study it. Study this wick. Study how like you could have had a different level. I'm certainly going to do that. And you could have taken this down. So now what we're looking at is just a strong move coming all the way down to this level. Can we end up getting some kind of a bounce off this level? And prices bringing price back down to that level, and then we continue back up, and then continue back down. It's hot in here. So we're looking for that retest of 161 right now, as we were saying. Those higher time frames. Looking at the daily candles, especially after the previous daily candle, with respect to the high of the previous, past low, wick to fill. And now we're filling that wick, we're coming right down into that support. So that's where I fully anticipate price coming down into, and then potentially even 160. Maybe not today, but in the next few days. Anything to add, Charma?
Nope. I think the main thing for GBP/JPY is going to be the GDP data coming out today for the pound in pre-London session. And so we've already have those consecutive, yeah, there you go. GDP
right
on Friday.
Oh, yeah, coming up, you're saying.
Yeah, in pre-London session. So we've already had, if you click on the folder, we've already had 2 consecutive negative GDP for the pound back in May and June. So officially they're already in a recession. And now we're starting to see a lot of this data kind of fluctuating like last time the data came out, it was a positive number. But now we're anticipating a negative drop again. So I think this will be very important. If it does come out to any negative number, it doesn't have to be negative 1.2, but if it comes out to any negative number, I do expect the pound to pretty much weaken even further.
Sure.
All right, let's hop over to gold. Awesome.
Right, gold. Looking at the monthly over here, again, we ended up rejecting 1680, as you guys know. We're above 1750 over here, that previous support. And then we have a nice strong monthly candle so far, holding support there and possibly continuing up further. Looking at the weekly now. Weekly, again, we've ever since tapping into those all-time highs of 2075, we've been printing lower highs and lower lows all the way down to 1680. Now we've obviously had some fear in the market with not Russia, Ukraine. Well, that too, but China, Taiwan is could be pushing this up. Also, inflation fears as well. Other than yesterday's inflation reading was actually pretty good, but I think we need to see more data, and I know the Fed does too before we before they really start relaxing on increasing rates and stuff like that. But we've been printing consecutive bullish candles for the last 4 weeks, basically for the last month since tapping into 1680 here. So looking at the daily's just been printing higher lows and higher highs over here, bouncing off key levels. Right now you have that 1750, but like 1786 previous support resistance, strong demand zone. Got that wick, this wick right here. We ended up closing above over here, but then rejecting it over here, and then we get the higher low formed in this area. With a strong bullish candle close, this candle created a bottom wick, closed bullish, looked like we were heading up, but then we ended up rejecting, right? We ended up coming down to grab liquidity over here. And right now, the current daily candle is flipping bullish, kind of holding this area right here as a support, right? So can we continue up and fill that wick? Possibly. We have a previous support right over here that we could come up and again fill that wick. We'll see if we're going to. Just going to move that up a little bit. And we can actually get rid of that because that's just a mess. We're now approaching a resistance right here, right? So can we have a area in this area? Can we have a trade in this area where we continue up and fill that wick about 90 pips? I could see that, right? Nice key area, previous support, respected, right? Bottom wick formed, past the high of the previous candle, and we've just been pushing up all morning. 1 hour. Again, you have our support right here. As it's been respecting, pushing up, ended up breaking through this previous resistance. Right, strong close above, and now we're starting to approach this area right here. Previous resistance to the left, right? Now 8:15. Let's see the 30-minute real quick. So probably put it right there. You get that previous resistance to the left, resistance, support, and now we're starting to approach it. But I think we could definitely, get a move up and fill that wick over here, especially the wick from CPI. Can we continue something up that way if we get some good numbers? Right, can we end up rejecting this level as well, getting some kind of a pullback? Because you are kind of overextended here. So are they kind of pricing some of this stuff in where we end up rejecting any kind of level? Right here. Like, can we get a push up into any of these further and then continue back down? Sharma, anything to add?
That's about it. Just waiting for price to reject off those areas and then, see some movements in one direction or another. I'm paying a lot more attention to the 30-minute and the hourly time frames than I am on the lower time frames for gold today.
So you're really going to wait for the news?
Yeah.
See what happens. I mean, I could see this. Like, look, last time this candle price was in this area, we rejected multiple times here. We pushed up. The CPI ended up rejecting that level as well, right? Pushing up and then closing below in the 1 hour. Got a bearish candle close in that area. We kind of faked it out right over here as well, right? Following CPI, and then pushed down. So this is definitely a critical level. If you didn't catch this move over here, you gotta wait. Just trying to see. Really got no retest over here at all. Price just mirrored this move completely. You want to do US 30?
Yeah. All right, perfect. Does anyone have any questions so far before we jump into US 30?
I have a question for you, VJ.
Yeah.
For the buys that you took this morning, the sells, the GJ sells that you took, around that level, I had that as like a daily liquidity zone. So I'm just wondering, generally when I would have a zone like that, I think I would naturally want to wait for higher time frame confirmations, like at least the hourly. So I'm just wondering, for you, what gave you the confidence to still execute the sell in that area?
For sure. Do you want to hop back to GJ real quick, Stephanos?
Sure.
All right. Let's start off from the daily down, please.
Oh.
All right. So on this daily time frame, the first thing was obviously the zone that we have marked off. So this entire zone is what I had. And then what I want to see here, the first confirmation was breaking the previous daily low after making that resistance here. And then after that, what I want to see was some form of break and retest. This was about a couple of minutes before there was the New York market open, not the stock exchange, but the New York market open. And then also the market sentiment leading to PPI that's going to be coming out. On top of that, I'm hoping to carry this trade out as like a day trade or even a swing trade with GDP data coming, since we are expecting lower numbers to come out. You want to drop down to the 4 hour now?
Sure.
All right. So after that zone, a little bit of consolidation. So we had this little consolidation, got that entire zone here, started breaking below the support. You got that support here as well, and the 4 hour low. So now what I want to see here was some confirmation that we can at least continue down to 161 around 200 area, which comes from the lower time frame. So the 1 hour time frame, please.
Yep.
All right. So here, further confirmations with all this consolidation forming. And then a massive sell-off that's pretty much happening. And then can we look to the left? Alright, so now that 161 200 area, I have this marked off here as a major level. I don't have this zone, but I have like down here 161 200. And so further confirmations, again, just need to see a break and retest so we can, as we have that confirmation that we're getting those buyers out, right? Every second of the market, there's buyers and sellers. So after a massive consolidation like this, I do expect volume to kick in. But for us to continue pushing down, I need that break and retest for us to continue pushing. So when we drop down to the 30-minute and we got that break and retest, that's pretty much where I took the entry. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, so it's basically just the combination of all those things that gave you the confidence to execute on it.
Right.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, that helps a lot. Thanks.
Yeah, for sure.
I definitely had an error there with the with my level.
Mm-hmm.
I was paying so much attention to this move right here, consolidation, right? But we had this move and this support right here that the price really bounced off of yesterday after the CPI news. So I was paying so much attention to that and how this candle was rejecting it. I completely missed this one.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's so important to really draw your levels correctly. It's one thing that we're really doing in here where it's like I'm having everybody break down the charts every single day, volunteer if they want to get better. And when they're doing that, they're getting more and more confident every single day when it comes to the levels that they're breaking down. But the more you do that, the better you're going to get, the more confident you're going to get, and the more you're going to raise your win rate because you're going to be taking the right trades instead of the wrong ones because of wrong levels.
Absolutely.
But this certainly is a level. Like we could very well be having a low created, and we could retest this area over here, or even pull back more to then continue back down. And now you have a range to take something, right? So it doesn't mean you missed it. Same thing with CPI yesterday, right? Just because you missed the news move over here doesn't mean you didn't have a 90 pip move right here, right? Nice little break and retest, low created, just what I was talking about right over here, right? You see the wick on the higher time frames, but you could get that pullback here and then continue this price down.
All right. You want to go over US 30 now? Alright.
Got about 9 minutes.
Perfect. So I'm going to mark off the 33,000 mark that we've had for a very long time first. That's the very first level that I'm going to mark off right off the bat. There we go. Alright, so now that we're breaking above that, this is going to be more like my, like a foundation level, I guess you could call it, where if price were to break below this, then we know that we're coming back and looking for sells. But there's also this understanding that we broke below all this consolidation with a lot of bearish pressure, so now we're starting to get a retracement. If we are to break above this level, which is very strong, then we know that we need the strong fundamentals as well to come back. And can this potentially be a liquidity grab while it is a correction of this entire sell-off? After price breaks above this, you got those clean buy opportunities. First of all, you have clean buy opportunities going up into this 34,000 mark, if you want to mark that off, Stefanos. So that 34,000 mark. And then after that, if price breaks above it, you can carry that into potential swing trades as you're coming into some of these minor levels. We can mark those off as we break above that 34,000. We don't have to do that just yet. But right now, this is our range pretty much to trade in between this 33,000 and 34,000. So now we're going to drop down to lower time frames. Alright, perfect. So now here what I'm going to do is mark off this area here as well. So what I want to see is a potential break and retest on lower time frame. So that means the daily, 4 hour, 1 hour, depending on what kind of data that we're potentially getting. But we got a nice little support being formed here. Price is still in that bearish structure, right? We're barely trying to test it right now. So what I do want to see is a break and retest, and that would be a confirmation of a potential break of structure coming back into this 34,000 mark. And then after that, if price breaks above it, then we're looking for minor levels to target when it comes to this entire consolidation. So coming up to around 35,000, and then you can look for some of those higher levels. But right now, the crucial thing is to wait for a break and retest right above this zone for potential buy opportunities to take you all the way up to this 34,000 mark. A lot of this optimism came yesterday. As you can see, this was pretty much the candle that was taking us up from like CPI and everything like that coming out at a 0%. That does not mean that there's no more inflation. That just means that we're sitting at a steady level and there has not been an increase in CPI, or like there has not been an increase in inflation compared to last month. It just means that we're sitting at the same level. In order for us to come back and below the previous month's level, we need to come into negative CPI data month to month. That's what we need to see. Let's drop down to the daily, please.
Did you see that press conference? Is that why you're saying that?
No.
Okay. Biden had a press conference yesterday and said we had zero inflation multiple times.
No, just basic common sense. That's not how numbers work.
He thinks other people do.
And then, so now coming on to the daily time frame, we're still maintaining that nice bullish structure, right? And so yesterday we closed with a lot of bullish momentum again. Now we're breaking above this consolidation here, so I do want to see some break and retest forming right above this area. That gives me further confirmations. In order for us to not really care about a break and retest above this level, I would have wanted to see this break and retest right in between the zone. If we got that, then I really wouldn't care about a break and retest here, given that we do have some high impact data coming out today. PPI, you got the GDP coming out, and then tomorrow you have the consumer sentiment coming out, right? And so with that being said, I would have expected more volume. But right now, I do want to see some break and retest on some of the lower time frames that would give me further confirmations. Now, all this tells me here, as we narrow into some of these time frames, is that this would have been a perfect no trade zone. And then now above this, we can look for those potential buy opportunities with clean moves to the left. Really nothing stopping it from going up to that 34,000 mark. 4 hour time frame, please. Alright, so now on the 4 hour time frame, we're starting to see price breaking above, some of these minor levels, which is perfect. But before that, we did start to get some exhaustive moves. Right now, this is a lot of market sentiment leading into the fundamental that we're expecting to come out, the economic data that we're expecting to come out. So in this case, absolutely wait for the economic release and then trade the reaction to the economic release. There's a very high chance that maybe we do end up missing the mark when it comes to the PPI forecast, and we could come right back down. And you are getting signs of that from these candle exhaustions. Or we end up hitting the mark or come out at better data points, and then price continues pushing up a little bit more before we start to see a retracement. But there's absolutely going to be a retracement here pretty soon. And if you're looking for any, a day trade or swing trade opportunities, you want to keep that in the back of your mind. But there are potential scalp opportunities that you can take advantage of as long as price is holding on to this area here as a support on the 30-minute time frame or the 15-minute. Can we drop down to the 1 hour, please?
Yeah.
All right, so now on the hourly time frame, if we zoom in, we see that there was, with all that exhaustion that we saw in the 4 hour time frame, now we start to see that there was a little bit of consolidation, and that's what we're trying to break above right now. What concerns me about this hourly candle is that there is no bottom wick here. So there's a very high chance that we could just end up creating a wick on this candle, coming back down and closing bullish, and then the following candle, what we need to see happening is a bottom wick rejection and then continuation back up. Pretty much how we took those GJ buys yesterday, same exact thing. Was it GJ? No, it was gold buys. Those gold buys yesterday. Or this candle closes like this in the next minute or so with the 30-minute candle. And then the following half of this hourly candle, which is going to be the next 30 minutes, takes us even further up with PPI release. Can we drop down to the 30-minute, please? Alright, so here, a lot of that market sentiment, again, leading into that PPI release. You got a nice consolidation being formed here, nice little break and retest, taking you right back up. What I want to see here, now that gives me further confirmations that we are pretty overextended. Now what I want to see is some sort of a pullback and then a continuation back up. It could take two forms. So if we do see pretty good data coming out in the next couple of seconds, either we just create a bottom wick on the next 30-minute candle and then take us right back up, or we could see, if we just miss the mark, then we could see some bearish moves here, and then as New York Stock Exchange opens up, then we can look for a continuation move up.
Did you see a pullback coming in? If we do hit the mark and this is all kind of priced in?
Yeah, so a pullback and then a continuation right back up.
Yeah, well, okay. Alright, so I'll keep this over here on this screen. And gold over here. As you can see, we're kind of rejecting that level right here. So this is gold. There's about a minute left. Don't be afraid to shout out the data if anybody gets it.
We also have the jobless claims coming out today. The continued jobless claims and the initial jobless claims. So this is going to be interesting to see.
Alright. We got some kind of optimism. Anybody get the numbers yet? Initial push up. Wow, let's go. That's great.
All right, so now this is what means that there's inflation decreasing on the producer side. So that means now we're dropping down from that 1.1%. Right? And so if this is more like a forecast inflation, you can think about it, because if producers are paying less on their end for finished products, however much it's costing them to finish their products and services and send it off, so then, consumers can buy it, then that means that there's less costs that are being passed down to the consumers.
Yep. I'd be interested to see what we get over here at 1798 on gold. After the previous rejections here to the left, and then if you look at the 30-minute, multiple rejections in this area. So we could have just been pushing up. Now we could finally get a pullback, and maybe we could play that pullback.
Alright, got my buys in for US 30.
You're in buys right now?
Yep.
Okay, let's see what we do over here on gold. And if we do reject this level, if we could get some kind of a close and the top wood forms. Let's see that. Yeah, look at that. That's great. Now now food, and I know energy is decreasing, but food I feel like is still increasing when it comes to inflation. I was reading an article yesterday about it.
Wait for.
What was that?
No, I'm just waiting for a little bit of a pullback on this US 30.
What's your trade, Sharma? You want me to place it on here?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for a little bit of a more pullback as it's doing it right now, and then waiting for price to break its own high on the 5-minute time frame. Yeah, so I'm giving it the first couple of minutes for price to kind of react and then continue pushing.
I was saying, like, where's your stop loss? Like, what's your entry?
Oh, I haven't entered just yet. I was about to hit buy, but I'm waiting for price to kind of react and then continue pushing its high for a buy opportunity.
Okay. Yeah, I'm curious what we get here on gold. Because I may play this pullback. Just gonna wait for the candles to close. The 5-minute is closing in 2 minutes. Everyone good? You guys are quiet today. KB, what are you up to? I know you're always planning something.
Look at that volatility in both of them, breaking the highs and the lows.
And that's why you gotta wait.
Yep.
So this is what I was planning on taking. It just took off without us a little bit, which is fine. It happens. Oh, okay. Smart, man. So you're waiting 30 minutes. KB's waiting for the new 4-hour candle to form. So maybe we have a high created over here. Can we get some kind of a pullback into this area? Support formed, and we continue back up? Always be ready for everything on these pairs. Never marry a bias, because once you do that, it gets dangerous.
100%.
And then again, if you're missing some of these moves or this pullback or anything like that, you don't see either of us, getting FOMO or anything like that. You guys are gonna have plenty of opportunity, and maybe you don't, but most of the time you do. When you got New York Stock Exchange open, you got all that volume starting to come back in again, right? You have really until I would say 11 Eastern Standard Time to take a trade. And again, I pointed out one example on TJ yesterday. You could have caught 90 pips waiting for the news to come out and not gambling, right? This happened, came out at 8:30 yesterday. You could have waited till 9:15 to take a trade. It would have been a perfect trade if you just stayed patient, right? Same thing with my trade on gold yesterday too. You just stay patient, wait for the retest, wait for a candle to hold support, and then you take the price right back up. So you don't always have to be part of these moves. It's gambling. It's not, what's it called? Decisive and smart trading. So now on GJ, you're getting some kind of a pullback, right? Price reacted to this area. And you have a low created. So at some point, you've been making these lower highs over here. Can you get any kind of a pullback into this area to continue back down? This area to continue back down? All right, there's multiple things that could happen here for you. And that's what you can wait for.
$100%. I'm still waiting on this entry, waiting for price to finish its fluctuations.
Okay. I'm going to go back to US 30 for you. The good thing is we have optimism and we got a high created. What I was thinking was, I know you were saying like a pullback to continue back up with the optimism, but like, what if those PPI numbers, as expected from CPI yesterday, what if everything was like really priced in? What was yesterday, the 10th? So since like Asian session, we kind of consolidated over here, and then this morning, starting with London, what if they priced everything in, and then you kind of get some kind of a correction of that?
Yeah, there's a possibility, but also here, in the first couple of minutes after news comes out, a lot of the adjustments are done based off of actual versus the forecast, right? Or have we met the estimates, or did we, miss them? And then after a couple of minutes, I would say after like the first 15-minute candle or so, you get now like the actual versus the previous, which is really what matters. Forecast is just estimates, right? Mm-hmm. And then in this case right now, what we have is in the next 15 minutes, you're going to have the New York Stock Exchange open anyways. So now is it just wait for the new 4-hour candle? And then you have to think about, well, I need to give room for the next 4-hour candle to make top and bottom wick rejections too, right? So now taking all that into consideration, you have to think about, okay, what is my zone going to be and how am I going to be managing this trade? So that's why we know what this data pretty much means. It's optimism for equities. It's optimism for, US 30, and obviously it's going to help gold drop back down. But now it's a lot of the market reactions to the actual data coming out, and also taking into consideration that you have a new higher time frame candle that's about to start forming. So we need to give the current candle enough room to create, leave some top wicks, and then the new candle make some bottom wicks.
Yep.
Now, with that being said, as I was watching the 5-minute time frame on US 30, as soon as it broke the highs, I looked for an entry. So the entry is at 33,506.99. 33,506.99.
Right here?
Yep.
Stop loss?
That is at... Give me 1 second here. 33,494.6.
Right.
And then TP, right now I have it marked off at 33,580. But if I see price continue to push up, then I'm going to move it up to 34,000.
Yeah, just secure and leave it on.
Yep. So I'm watching the 5-minute time frame here on US 30.
Okay. I'm curious here. I'm going to get rid of these. On gold over here, this is the 4-hour. I want to see this 4-hour candle close above that area, but I want to see like a bottom wick formed on the next one and breaking its own high, or flipping bullish and continuing up over here. But you got a strong resistance right in this level that we could very well reject and possibly continue down. But if not, we could create a bottom wick and fill this wick up here, and that could be the move that you take advantage of. but you're obviously getting some kind of a pullback here because of the less fear of inflation. That's great, man. Bring these prices down, right? I'm sure you guys are all sick of it. Oh wait, let me play this clip for you guys. This is the press conference yesterday.
I just want to say a number. 0. Today, we received news that our economy had 0% inflation in the month of July. 0%. Here's what that means. The price of some things went up last month. The price of others went down by the same amount. Result, 0 inflation last month. People were still hurting, but 0 inflation last month.
No. No.
What do you mean here's what that means? Why don't you figure out what that means?
This is why it's important to understand economic data.
And you guys, I mean, if you guys don't understand fundamentals yet, that's fine. You guys are well on your way to doing it, other than, the rest of the population. You guys understand that. I would say 90% of what they've said, them and the Fed, in the last year and a half, 2 years, has been pretty much wrong. Or, unfortunately, maybe a lie. And I would probably say the latter. Because, unfortunately, the Fed created it. They just printed money. When you're printing so much money like this, you create inflation. It's not rocket science. They know it. But they want to delay, telling you guys for as long as possible. And just deal with it down the road. Like pushing the can down the road.
Well, see, the thing, you have two different examples, right now, where you have Bank of England that came out and said that we are in a recession, it's going to be a long recession, but we're going to continue increasing interest rates. And then we see, how the pound took a hit, right? Because they came out, they openly said it, they were pretty transparent about it, even though, we knew, there's economic data there. And then you have the Fed that says that, we're necessarily not in a recession yet. Right, the definition has pretty much changed, and then they're trying to give you all these other explanations to kind of back that up. But the truth is, whether you change the definition or not, I mean, you are in a recession. You got the economic data there to support that. So you have two different examples of two different ways that the central banks are handling this. If you just come out and you say that we're gonna, we are in a recession, it's gonna be a long recession, and it's gonna take us some more time because. Yes, the Fed is increasing its interest rates. It's also moving into contractionary monetary policies and everything. But on the government side, you have just them putting more money into the economy, just making money even cheaper through their policies, through their bills and acts and, all these different things that they're coming out with. And so the monetary policy has to take that into effect, whatever the government is doing, and it has to adjust it. The FOMC has to adjust the monetary policies according to it. So if the government's going to keep, putting money into it, keep injecting money into the economy, then obviously the monetary policies have to be a lot more aggressive.
100%.
All right, so on this US 30, right before this 15-minute closes, on the 5-minute time frame, I see that's kind of struggling to break the highs and the lows. Can you go to the 5-minute time frame for US 30, please?
US 30.
Alright, so this last 5-minute candle, we saw how it was kind of struggling to break the highs or the lows. So I closed out about 25% of my trade there. Now what I have done is move just above break even, but what I'm targeting is this little zone. As long as price is above it, I'm good to go for any further buy opportunities or just letting this one run. But as soon as price comes back into this area or tries to break below it, I'm going to close out my entire trade. So my stop loss right now is currently right below these candles right here. I've trailed it up.
That's how you manage to trade.
And this is, again, with the understanding that there's going to be a new 4-hour candle forming in a couple of minutes. And so giving the new 4-hour candle any bottom wick rejection rooms that it wants, but also just closing out this trade pretty quickly because I do want to see retracements on some of those higher time frames, the hourly 4-hour time frames, to look for a continued buy opportunity going up to 34,000.
And what you just did right there was an exit plan. So when you guys enter trades, you guys should know exactly what you're going to do to get out of that trade. It's the same thing as if you're going into a real estate deal. You got to know exactly how you're going to get out of that deal, how you're going to sell it, when you're going to sell it, in order before you even buy the deal. So it's the same exact thing in trading.
100%.
What you were saying before with changing definitions and everything. I was watching this comedian, forget his name, he's on Instagram, but what's it called? He was making fun of how like our generation has been changing a lot of definitions, and like all of his examples were like just spot on.
What a time to be alive.
Well, it's always a great time to be alive, but right now it's a little weird, to say the least. So again, my plan right now, I'm waiting for this 4-hour candle to close. I would love for it to close above this level of like 1795 area, right above this level, and we could definitely end up filling that wick if we get like a bottom wick formed on the next and continue up. But you guys got 13 minutes before the 4-hour candle closes. Can you guys wait for that, right? Or you get strange times, yeah. Not kidding. That's what I'm looking to take price up with. But again, we could very well reject this resistance up here. We have this whole level in this area where price could end up rejecting and continuing down with, again, more data of less inflation. So, and then GJ. GJ. Over here is continuing down. I don't think there should be anything stopping it from filling this wick over here. Oh, wait a minute. So we did end up tapping into that 200 level, 161, 200 level. Definitely passed through the 400 level we were talking about this morning. And now price is kind of bouncing off. And as you guys know, it's a high demand area where prices bounced off pretty hard when strong bullish candle closes. So we'll see if we could get through that level. Let me just zoom into this. Let's neaten up our zones. Over here. And again, can we be rejecting this area first before continuing down? I'd rather wait for some kind of a pullback before hopping into this. I think this could have been the move of the morning, and that's one thing that you guys got to understand. This as well, from 5 a.m. this morning, price just dropped on GJ. So, can we get another move? Absolutely, but at the same time, understanding that maybe you missed the move of the morning if you don't get your exact setup that you're looking for. But does anyone have any questions?
Yeah. I think they do.
Sorry, what was that? I think she left. Alright. So no questions from you guys? Anybody from YouTube? Sharm?
No questions there. Well, someone wants the link to the video. I think they're talking about the Biden video.
Biden video, okay. If you guys go onto the New York Post, it's one of the last 10 posts, I believe it is, on Instagram. Who was asking for that?
Calming effect
On
YouTube.
Okay, yeah. Go to Instagram, search New York Post, and it's one of the last 10 posts. No pun intended. All right. So with that being said, guys, we're gonna hop off. Hope you guys have a great rest of the day. Be smart, be patient. Don't overtrade or over risk. If you already took 2 trades today, just call it a day. It's done. Journal all the trades you would be taking and learn from them. That's exactly what we were talking about yesterday. Like that's what you want to be able to do is correct your own mistakes. Obviously, having a mentor is super important, and basically need one if you want to get to where you want to be a lot quicker than you normally would by yourself. Not saying that you need one, but if you want to get to where you want to be a lot quicker, this is a surefire way to do it. Especially the right ones that actually care. But making corrections on your own trades, knowing exactly what you did wrong after that trade, or exactly what you did right, but what you would have done differently, all those things, super important. And that's really the great ones in any kind of sport. That's what they do. So if you guys have any questions, please reach out to us on Instagram. You guys in the groups, obviously reach out to us on DMs in our groups, and we'll be talking.
100%. And then again, last reminder: signups for bootcamp are gonna end on this Saturday at 5 p.m. PST. So if you guys already signed up, make sure you guys finish the entire process and stuff. You guys should have received the email with confirmation. Other than that, we'll see you guys next week for the weekly outlook.
Looking forward to it, guys.
All right, have a good one, everybody.